Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here we go with this video. So I decided to do a celebrity session. What do I mean? If you don't know, my name is Isabel Frank. I am a psychic medium. Basically had my abilities since I've been 6, as well as a life coach and spiritual intuition coach. But a lot of times on my lives on another channel, I do a lot of celebrity channeling. I channel celebrities, sometimes ones that have passed, and sometimes information of the present. Anyways, today I decided let's do MJ. So here we go. Whew. I've been sitting with this one since like yesterday, and then I sat with it today, and I'm like, where do we even start? I'm laughing because when I start channeling right now, I can already kind of feel like the joking side of it, Michael Jackson. Like when I said, like, where do I start? And I could almost feel like he started in this like storyteller voice. I will say through this channeling, I have learned there's multiple personalities of Michael Jackson that he showed throughout his life. So he wasn't always just like super serious one role. He was quite playful. He was quite funny. Some of these I had to really sit with because at first I was like, wait, did he have multiple personality disorder? No, he did not. But he did know how to turn the switch on and off and play different roles, right? So like when he is on stage, he says like there's moments on stage that he was not aware of what he was actually doing because he was so embodied into what I would call like your higher self, your soul. Like he was so embodied in that moment that that whole element of him on stage, or even when he was creating or making music, is a whole different persona than actually who he could be. He could be quite serious at times during production time as well as like off screen, but there's also sometimes that he was very childlike, which I think we all know. And so he could be very like playful and very childlike, and these were different personalities that he would kind of navigate himself through. um okay, there we go. I wanted to cover that just because at first I was like, wait, what's going on with him? And he's like telling me that there was so much going on in his life and his childhood, as we all know. We've all seen the movies, but we do know there was like a lot of abuse. So at an early age, he really learned how to disassociate and play different roles as needed. He was very, very intuitive, very clairvoyant, very clairaudient. So he could see, he could hear, and he could feel. So he was able to kind of tune into the side of him that needed to show up at certain times. When he was an adult and he would tap into like that childlike mind and play, that was very healing for him. He was very well aware that he was healing himself, that he was giving himself back what he needed. He's very, very smart. But even as a child, he would use his sense of like clairsentience, which is feeling, right? Feeling of where he should go and where he shouldn't go. So he knew like kind of how to navigate what should be said, what shouldn't be said, how he should show up, things like that. But he did have a switch that he said while I was performing, even as a child, I learned how to just shut everything off and switch into that mode. And he's like, I really enjoyed that. He's like, that's where I gained a lot of my happiness, especially as a child, which even now I know, like I'm talking to my mind, and he's like, I don't really want to touch on a lot of things that happened in my childhood because he tries his hardest to forget about it. He will say, and he has said, he did suffer most of the abuse. Him and his other younger brother, I'm horrible with names, but not the older ones. The two younger boys got most of the physical abuse. So he was saying like the two younger ones got most of the physical abuse. It was like there was like he knew that he was never gonna quite be enough for his dad, even though he did what he did and he made it as far. So he kind of accepted that at an early age, like, I'm never gonna quite perform to the status that he sees for me or that I wanted. And the more that he performed or the more that he showed out, the more trouble he would get into at times. But yes, his dad was proud, but again, he's going like this, like, I don't really want to touch too much on that. I was kind of asking a lot of questions about like who made the deal? Like, was there a selling of the soul? Was there this and that? He's like, I never sold my soul. my dad sold his soul. He's like, my dad sold his soul a long time ago and made a lot of deals about like where we would go and what we would accomplish in this industry far before the kids are like, he's saying like far before I was aware of it. And he's like, I never sold my soul, but I, and he's kind of cringing again. He goes, I did a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to discuss, as far as like Joseph making him do these things. Like, I had to do certain things because of my father that I'm not proud of, but I also was a child, which is why I said so much for children and fought for children. Saw way more than I should have ever seen in my life. And that's where he's kind of wanting to close the door a little bit. Like, I don't really want to discuss this. He's like, I've always wanted to help people, and that probably gave me more of a voice to help people because of what I endured. Like, I wanted to help people change and heal and go through and navigate, like a voice for children that didn't have a voice. I don't know a lot about Michael Jackson. He's telling me that a lot of his money did go to charity. He's like, a lot of my money went to charity. A lot of things that I did for charity and for people. And he did them under false names. Like, he was like, I had aliases, or I would show up in different ways and I would hide it. I just didn't want the credit, but I wanted to help people. Um, he's like, I don't agree with what's happening in our world today, which I'm sure he doesn't. He was very, very, very talented, as we all know. He's a very, very talented singer. He's joking and saying he was, and he liked to do music like on like, instruments. But he's like, he for some reason wasn't able to. Like, he was like, I wasn't given the time to do that, or it wasn't something that he was so focused on pursuing. But there was moments he's trying to show me that like he would play around with it and do little things, but he was just like, yeah, that was more my brother's thing. And I don't even know why this is relevant. I'm like, why are you telling me this right now? He's like, because I wanted to be more musically inclined with instruments. And I'm like, okay. But he's kind of showing me like he couldn't, like his coordination with them at times wasn't right. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going on. I did cover a lot earlier when I was sitting with him. So let me just see. He's saying, I'm really sad that my life was really cut short because I really wanted to share the beauty of this world. And there was beautiful parts of this world, right? The happiness, the joy, our souls, what we do, who we are. But I was still healing a lot. And a lot of my music wasn't created out of joy and happiness. It was created out of anger and frustration, but it gave me a voice to express myself. Later on, he goes, as I was getting older, I wanted to share more of the joy and happiness that I found, especially through my children. And I think, I don't know, there's a lot of tracks that he said I wasn't able to produce yet, but those were built on joy and happiness more so. And he was planning on sharing some of those things. I'm like, were you going to make another album? It feels like, yeah, he was in the process of creating another album. And he's actually saying, I wouldn't have stopped. I wouldn't have stopped, but things happened in my life. Okay. Can we talk about that? He goes, there's really not much to say other than I know the stories of what was told about my passing, but I didn't pass that way. Every time I touch on this, he keeps showing me that like somebody shoved it down or forced it into him. Like, he didn't know he was taking what he took. He didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. Like, he literally keeps repeating, I didn't know. I didn't know. And then it gets drawn to his throat, and I get drawn to like him taking something, but he keeps saying, I didn't know. Um, he's like, I didn't know. I asked him, do you know who did it? He said, yeah, I'm well aware who did it. I know who did it, but I didn't know in the time that I was taking what I'm taking. I'm asking if they forced it down his throat. He said, no, but I didn't know that I was taking that. Like, I didn't know it. Um, and he's like, but he's saying, we knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. But I just didn't expect it in that timing. There was a lot of plans that I had going on, that I was like, well, if I do this, then others will benefit. So I was already like moving in certain things, like there were certain plans in effect that he was like, so I didn't expect that to occur in that time when it did. He's like, I've seen other people do this, and I knew that this could possibly be a possibility because I'm well into the industry. I've known the industry my whole childhood, my whole life. He's actually using the words, I was sold to the industry. So I was very, very well aware of what could occur. He's like, but again, he goes, I had no idea that this was happening. Um, he was like, I was just so focused on getting on stage, doing what I had to do, kind of just moving forward with a new chapter in my life. It feels like what he did was just close off so many chapters of his past. I don't know how old he was when he passed. I think he was like in his 50s. But he's like, I closed so many chapters. Like he did all the healing work. He kind of like moved through his childhood wounds. He moved through all the like drama that he had, and he was just really ready to just be healed. He was really ready to just kind of show up in a different light, as well as kind of let some of those walls down and let the public in a little bit more to who he was and his persona. Um, he goes, I always fought, like he always fought with boundaries. He always kind of was like, I had really strong boundaries, but then when it came to family, when it came to other things, he kind of sometimes had a hard time picking and choosing what was needed or who to trust or things like that. Ask if there was anything he needed to say in regards to his sisters, to his brothers, even to the movie that just got released. In regards to the movie, he kind of just shrugs his shoulders and he's just like, it is what it is. He's saying that I actually liked the movie, so I liked the movie, but he's saying he wasn't really that impressed, that there was a lot of things that really were left out of the movie. That he rather, some things he goes, I'm glad they left out. But also there was a lot that was left out that I feel they missed who I truly was. They touched on it a little bit, but I was very aware of the business at a very young age, and I knew a lot about the business at a very young age. Financially, how to negotiate, how to do things, I learned at a very young age. And they kind of don't show a lot of those things, of like the shaping of how I became the adult that I was. He's like, a lot of times as a child, he's telling me he would write. He's like, I was always a writer. I always wanted to write and create music. He's like, I didn't have that. I didn't have the freedom to create the way I wanted to create. I didn't have the freedom to do what I wanted to do. But this wasn't something new. This was something that I had been wanting to do for a while. As a matter of fact, he's telling me again at a very young age that they had been wanting him to be separate from the Jackson 5 and do his own album and come out on his own and be this, but he said he didn't. I don't know a lot, and I don't really want to talk a lot about his relationship with Diana Ross, but he is telling me that she was one of his biggest pushers in like going and seeking his solo career. He had a lot in common with her, he's saying, since of her career and his career, and that she would encourage him a lot to sing and to perform and to just be who he became later in life. But he's saying, this wasn't, they touched it on it, but it was something that I always wanted to do, even as like a child. I always wanted to perform. I always wanted to write. I always wanted to create. He's like, I liked it. I liked making people move and dance and have fun. That gave me joy. He channeled a lot. He's saying, especially when it came to music, like he could hear it. So that's how he wrote. He's like, I always could hear the music. I'd wake up with songs in my head. I would go to sleep with songs in my head. I heard melodies like all day long. And he's like, this is how it was my expression. Like that's me. He's like, so this wasn't new for me to just write an album. It feels like he possibly, and he's saying correct. I'm like, where'd it go? They got rid of it. There was possibly like an album that was written before his first album, but like they got rid of it, or he never released it or something. Like that's what he's trying to tell me. That's what he's trying to say. But yeah, he was just like, I just held myself back for so long. And I did have a lot of people in my corner that were pushing me to come out. I'm really trying not to touch on certain things because I can feel he like mainly was like trying to talk about his career, but he wasn't necessarily trying to talk about his family. He was like, I don't feel, or he hadn't felt close to his family in a really long time. He goes, family was everything growing up, but he's like, I didn't really care. Like, there were certain brothers that he's like, I did not like them. I didn't care for them. I knew their personalities, and kind of what they were trying to do, and who they were out for, which is themselves as well as their father. Like they worked hand in hand with the dad, which kind of gives me this like icky vibe. But he was like, I don't really want to go on that train. And he's like, and I'm glad for that part that they kept a lot of our private life and what happened in our family household out of the limelight. Like, he's like, that doesn't need to be discussed. He goes, I don't really want to discuss that. He's very protective of his mother. And he's telling me like, I don't want to discuss it because like he really doesn't want to let his mom feel bad or be hurt. Like, that's one of his things. He's like, I never wanted to hurt her, and I never wanted her to feel bad. And he's like, she did her best to love us the best way she knew. He goes, was she perfect? No. But he's like, kind of like, none of us were. And he's like, but I didn't, he's just really protective of her. He's also very protective of Janet, that he loved very much. He's saying she's so talented. He's like, she's way more talented than she's ever let you guys see or you guys know. And he feels like something to do with him with that. As far as like her not showing everybody how talented he was, but I don't understand everything. But he's saying that she was really, really talented. Like, she could do all the performances, she could do all the dances, she could do everything. Like, she would just copy everything with him. So he spent a lot of time with her. But that was like kind of he's like his baby. That's the way he's wording it. Like, this was my baby. It's almost like I could see it where like if there was somebody that needed to take over for Michael Jackson, she could definitely take over for Michael Jackson as far as being a performer or doing his acts. Like, she knew him quite well. He was a little bit afraid for her, so he kept a separation, I guess. I'm just asking at all times. He's like, no, there's just a point in his life where like they kind of separated or they weren't really close, but he felt like during this time he was doing her a favor. I don't know why this is coming up, but he's like, I felt like he was trying to protect her or he was doing her a favor by keeping that separation. He goes, I have nothing in my life to hide. I'm very proud of the life I lived and who I was, despite all the things that were said. I know my truth. And I don't have anything to hide. He's saying he's very proud of his children, all of them. He's very, very proud of all of his children. I wish I had more. That was what he said. I wish I had more. I'm like, okay, okay. I have so many questions. I'm like, what about your marriages? What about your relationships? I'm like, was there anything with this? But what's crazy about it? He's like, they were there, but like they're not of super importance to him where he's like, I need to share them. He's just like, yeah, all these relationships happened, but that wasn't my focus. My kids were my focus. Um, he said he had a very private dating life. He's like, even the women that you saw that I dated, I don't know because I was such a kid, but he's saying like, he dated a lot of people actually. He entertained a lot of people. Like especially at a really young age. I feel like he might have, started entertaining at a very young age. He's kind of laughing at that. He's incorrect. Um, yeah. He's like, there's so much to my story that a lot of you guys aren't and will never know. Um, he really did love Diana. I'm making a face because I kind of can see a lot of things that I'm like, how do I express this? And then he's like, I did love her. But he did have to let her go. I'm like, what about Lisa Marie? Because he was married to Lisa Marie Presley. I'm like, did you love her? He's like, yeah, but I knew that one wasn't going to last and that she wasn't like, she's like showing me like he kind of knew like I wanted more from this relationship. Um, but it doesn't feel like she was invested in this relationship as much as he was invested in this relationship. So he's like, it kind of ended before it started. Like by the time we saw it, he was like, it was kind of already separating. He really wanted more. He really wanted more from this relationship, but I guess that didn't occur. I'm not really sure. Yeah. Is there anything else with this? He's like, no, I don't know where else to go with this reading. I'm like, is there anything else you want them to know? He's like, the only thing I want them to know is that he didn't end his life, nor did he want to end his life. He had a lot of plans for his life, not quite the plans that everybody saw or everybody thought he was going to have. But he had a lot of plans as far as like what he wanted to do with his life. So he was not planning on harming himself. And he's like, he didn't like pain pills. Like he's telling me, like, I didn't like them. Like I did not take them. I did not take them because I like to be in control. I don't like having that fuzzy brain or that fuzzy mind or feeling out of control. I didn't like that. He goes, I didn't take pain pills. And he goes, I know they try to make me seem like I did, but I didn't take pain pills. He's like, I did take medication for my skin. And I took things for that, but I did not take pain pills like I didn't need them. And he's like, as a matter of fact, when I had to take them, like when his hair burned, he was like, I took them and then I ended it. I didn't like being high. He didn't like being loopy. He's like, I didn't like that. I rarely drank. And he was very natural. Like he was a very healthy, natural person. He was very much like he's even talking to me. Like I was, I try to watch what the kids eat. I tried to watch what I ate. He was very into just like natural, healthy lifestyle eating. But he was like, why would I do that if I was doing this? And he was like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, he was into like this healthy lifestyle. He's like, none of this makes sense. It didn't line up with me. It didn't line up with our lifestyle. It didn't line up with anything. He's like, I flew stuff in for my health. Why would I do this? Like, it doesn't make sense. So he's telling me, he's literally saying over and over, and he goes, that didn't happen the way that it happened. And he's like, but I knew it was going to happen. And I don't know how else to like say that. I'm asking, did you try to stop it? He goes, not in that moment because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I know who did it. And I knew, but there wasn't anything like, it feels like I don't know who was around, but it feels like somebody was around when it happened. And he literally was like talking to them. Like he's telling them you did this. Yeah. I'm like, I thought he was alone. So I'm like saying that. I'm like, I thought you were alone. And he like rolled his eyes like, no, like, no. He wasn't alone. Yeah. I'm asking, is there like footage or anything? He goes, yeah, but it's gone. So there's footage somewhere, but it's gone. He said he just wouldn't leave the public like that. He cared too much about people, and he cared too much about the people, like the world. Like he wouldn't want to leave that impression on them. And he's like, I just cared. I cared about people and what they did to themselves. Why would I do that? That doesn't work for me. And he also was like, I didn't want to do that with my kids either. He's very, very protective of his children, so which we all know. But he's also like, I was so protective of them. Again, why would I do this? Like I was so protective. Yeah. I don't know why I just asked him, but I was like, do you regret having your kids? And he said, no, I never regretted having my kids. I chose my kids. I wanted my kids. I'm proud of my kids. Like that gave me life. Like I kept going with my children. I really healed a lot with my kids. I love kids. It's like he literally is like, I love kids. I know people thought what I did was really weird. A lot of what I would say on camera sometimes was, it's like he just kind of liked to rile people up. But he's like, I never disrespected anybody. This is him saying, he goes, nothing. He goes, no, I was very protective of children. Um, and I wanted to give children the life that I didn't get to have. I want to give them the childhood that I didn't get to have. I wanted to stop them from growing up so fast. I wanted to protect them from the true people out there that were like predators. And he's like, I was never trying to hurt somebody. If I saw somebody with talent, I would speak to them. I would try to protect them. I would give them warnings or take them in. And he's like, but I would never try to harm anyone. He goes, I know a lot of people said what they said about me. And he goes, but I also wasn't willing to be bought by anybody. I wasn't willing to let anybody purchase my soul, like me. And he's like, I wasn't ever trying. He's like telling me though, like, things happened, like when I look at it, like things happened in his career, but it wasn't because of his doing. It was literally because of his dad's doing. It's like his dad did stuff and then he had to like fulfill the promises at times, like up until a certain point till he walked away. And he's like, correct. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Um, but he goes, I was famous enough that I was able to go around a lot of people and that really got people mad. Um, and I knew what I was doing. So I knew at the end of it that I had an expiration date. He feels so pretty. I don't know how to word it. I just feels like such a pretty person. That's like the image I keep getting. I'm like, you're really pretty, but like I can't see him, but I can feel him. And I'm like, you're really pretty. Right now, it's just that's the best way I could say it. Anyways, let me know in the comments and questions. That's everything that I got. I just wanted to share a quick one. Hopefully you enjoy. Subscribe, like, comment. And we'll see what else as I come and share with you guys a little bit more of my channelings like this. And have a great day.